Welcome everybody. This is a friendship gathering, and I'm just very happy to be here. We try to do this when there are fights, when there are events, and I'm just celebrating with the WBC office, Pepe, Ceci, and Nancy. We had a great WBC Greenbelt Challenge this past weekend, the amateur boxing tournament for 5 years in a row. We have one of our champions right here, and he had the lead fight against a boy who came all the way from Argentina. We had a fighter from London. We had a fighter from Mexico, several states in the United States, and that's just a very important aspect of the WBC, because we created the amateur program just to provide a platform for amateur boxing in Mexico, in the USA, and many other countries. I'm very happy to introduce my friend Tyson Lee, who is the new president of USA Boxing, and I'm proud to share that we have had a very good couple of days conversations, and we are happy to start working together for the kids. Nothing else but trying to do something for amateur boxing. Also, Carlos Palomino, my hero from childhood. He's one of the very exciting. And thank you for joining us. We have Manny Robles, a great boxing trainer. I'm sorry?
Chris Zavala was our first amateur champion.
Chris Zavala, who was our first WBC Challenge champion, and pride that we have seen, and maybe a current champion from the stable, and just friends. Everybody, welcome. Thank you so much, and we're gonna have a nice meal. I think Uncle Bill, whatever Uncle Bill is, it's gonna be good food. So the idea is we are completely open books, open everything. If there are any questions, any suggestions on what we can do, we would love to implement new things, and whatever can be discussed, we are here to discuss and to clarify anything.
Questions?
Yes.
Recently, you made women test for PEDs and world title fights. A couple of weeks ago, we had Katie Taylor fight Peter Pursuit. But there were no results given regarding the testing. And I tried to find out with the New York Commission, they wouldn't give it any results. So I was wondering, can the WBC help in that?
Sure. Let me explain anti-doping testing. The WBC implemented in 1975 anti-doping mandatory for all world title fights. And that led up to 5 years ago. That's the same system, only testing fighters after the fight. So we started the Clean Boxing program, which is a series of programs all aimed at anti-doping testing. The most important one is the random out of competition. So if you are a WBC champion or a top 15 ranked, you are in a universe of fighters that can be tested at any time, anywhere in the world. That is a random testing that we fund. So Vada selects on a system which fighters every month they're gonna test. They go knock on the door of the house or the gym and they do a test. Okay. From there you can get either a missed test if they cannot find that fighter, or they test him and you can get either negative test, then the case is closed, or an adverse finding. And that's when a process begins. Adverse finding, it means there has been a positive. So we have had a series of positives out of competition, and those have led to canceling fights. Those have led to suspensions, fines, and special programs. There's also contracted testing for a fight. The promoter may contract out of competition, so that means those fighters who are fighting each other are tested throughout the process of the fight, and they're tested after the fight as well. Vada has a very strict and the best program of what they test and how they test. It's the Rolls Royce of testing. So you can do it out of competition and also in fight testing with Vada. There's also the regular fight testing. That is the responsibility of the local boxing commission. And that is the one that we try to work with the commissions to verify which lab and what type of testing takes place. But each commission is independent and autonomous. So there's a gap there. The women's boxing, we are in the process of enrolling the champion and the top 5 challengers into the system, and the actual testing is going to begin in September once we have everyone enrolled.
Also, the last fight was not tested.
They had testing from the New York Commission, but every state is different, and many times we don't even find out. If there's no positive, then you don't find out anything. But it's a matter they do not release for legal matters, I believe.
Mauricio, to expound upon what David asked, a lot of fighters that are doing the illicit drug using, they do it out of competition. What do you think the game of boxing, and specifically the WBC, can do to expand the drug testing net to catch the cheaters when they don't have a fight signed? That's when a lot of the times the cheating does take place.
Well, the issue here is we believe you're innocent until you're guilty. What we are trying to spend the money also is in awareness programs. There are fighters who use, you can go to the GNC store and tell them, I need a pre-workout or after workout, whatever I'm making. And the guy will put out from the counter and give you supplements. Many of these contain PEDs. There are trainers. You can perfectly help us elaborate in this. Whatever a fighter, if a trainer tells you, look, take this vitamin, take this supplement, take this, and you will feel better, it will make you perform better, blah, 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 the fighter just takes it. If you have a cold, you go to the doctor or you go to the pharmacy, or your mom gives you a medicine. So there's many fighters that do take PEDs or illegal substances without knowing it.
Right.
But to go to your point, what we need is more testing. The more tests you do, the more you cover. If boxing commissions, if boxing promoters, if managers would join and spend the money to test, then we would test much more. There's a limit of what we can fund for testing.
Mauricio, do you believe in general, like with Jarrel Miller, he got a 6-month suspension, which seems to be really like.
From who?
From the WBA. And that goes into my next question. Do you believe that across the board, that the WBA, IBF, WBO, that all the sanctioning bodies should have a uniformity with the Association of Boxing Commissions to say if you test positive once, that you have harsher penalties as a deterrent so that guys who are, let's say, thinking about cheating understand that if I test positive here, it's not just 6 months, it could be 2-3 years. Do you think we need harsher penalties?
Look, Jarrel Miller, and I don't like to point at specific cases, but Jarrel Miller was expelled from the WBC twice. I mean, that was a clear sign. He
refused to take part in the clean boxing program.
He was ranked, and we reached out to him to enroll in the clean boxing program, and he did not do it. He had another fight. He was ranked again. We did all the process. We were led to believe he was going to enroll, and he did not enroll. Right. So he was expelled. He's not ranked in the WBC. And what happened. But I cannot respond what the WBA, IBF, or WBO would do. It's only logical that they should look into. I mean,
But Mauricio, my
It's-
other question is, don't you think all four of the major sanctioning bodies then should work together, at least on this realm of saying, let's have uniformity here. If they don't want to do Vada, you're not just expelled by the WBC, you're expelled by all four major sanctioning. Do you think that could be worked out or brokered?
It's a matter to ask them, not me. We have seen fighters who have been found positive in the WBC clean boxing program, who have been reported, and they have fought for their organizations, and they took him in and gave him title fights. So that's a matter I cannot respond. It's very easily to ask them. But for example, I know promoters, they contract the PBC, Matchroom, Top Rank, they contract Vada, or I don't know if there are other options. I know the British Boxing Board of Control, they do like our program for UK fighters, they have random testing. So if ABC in the US takes upon this topic, we will fully support them and work with them, and we can do fundraisers to have. The issue here is very costly. To do clean boxing or testing, you have elements: travel, the collector who does the job, and then the shipping and the lab costs. So it's a fixed package. The travel, it's the one that you don't know, because that's a variable, but it's expensive.
How many times can a fighter who's enrolled in the clean boxing program miss a scheduled testing before they're dropped from the rankings?
We treat every single case differently.
Okay.
We analyze and we address it. We have to go back and understand the difference. You are not top 15 yet.
Yes,
And you're enrolled in the clean boxing program. Okay. Are you aware that you have to notify Vada if you move somewhere? Like if you're going to go train to Miami,
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I'm aware.
you're aware.
Yes, yes.
Have you ever left your home or your gym? Whereabouts?
I haven't, like, you know.
Okay. For example, I was in Mexico, and Rocky Hernandez, number 2 contender, he went to visit the office and he told me, "Oh, I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm going to train in Los Angeles for my next fight." And I said, "Have you notified Vada?" He said, "What?" He has no idea that he has to notify his change of address. So it's a process. We started this, we have spent so much time, effort, and resources, but we're getting somewhere. And it's just a matter of, you can be an ambassador and you teach your friends. You are in the gym, you can help us, and we're reaching out. The awareness program is the key, because
I'll make sure I tell Rocky to give you a call tomorrow.
I told them I help them feel the whereabouts change.
But-
We send it to
Well,
Vada.
Mauricio, if somebody misses a scheduled Vada testing and then is notified, listen, these are the rules. You gotta let us know, and it's a persistent problem.
Yes.
Locating them
Okay.
for testing when they
We-
need to be tested.
As soon as
Is
there's
that a red flag? I mean, is that?
if there's a mistest, we address the mistest. We contact them. They have to pay the cost of that lab technician and travel who went and had that miss. The Charlos have to pay a fine, and it's just a matter of working. You cannot point and say he missed a test, he's dirty.
Right.
We don't want to go, but if there's a pattern, then of
Pattern,
course
right.
we take actions. We will take actions. J. Leon Love missed 3 tests in the period of 3 years, so
Yeah, and he's had a history of testing positive as well. Nice guy, though.
But-
He's failed more than one drug test.
I didn't know, but he missed three tests
Yeah.
in the period.